You're listening to WKRM in Moscow. Moscow, Kentucky, that is, a Kushlevitz broadcasting station. The time now is 8 p.m. WRKM is pleased to bring you another installment in our weekly radio soap opera series, Dark Shadows. Tonight, brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly Supermarkets. Piggly Wiggly wishes all of its Jewish friends the happiest of Passovers. Remember, for all your Passover needs, if it's gotta be kosher, it's gotta be Piggly Wiggly. And now, for our show.
Collinwood in the present time, 1970. Barnabas Collins and Dr. Julia Hoffman have come to the great Collinwood estate for the second night of Pesach. The Seder has been by the folks at Maxwell House Yeshiva. Only one ritual is left, the finding of the missing piece of matzah known as the afikomen. On this night, different from all others, find the afikomen. The kids swear they didn't have time to hide it, yet it hasn't been seen all evening. Dr. Julia Hoffman and Barnabas Collins have taken it upon themselves to find the missing matzah and help end the family Seder. In their quest, they come upon an enchanted bowl full of tzimmis, and by each of them eating a bissel flanken from the bowl, Barnabas and Julia have been transported through time back to Collinwood in the year 1840. It is in this time that the two afikomen seekers must find the answers that will find the clues, that will give them the kayach, that will lead them to discover where the matzah might be. Our story opens with Barnabas and Julia in the foyer of the great house. Barnabas, what's happened to us?
I don't know.
You must.
I don't.
We seem to be in Collinwood, but no one is around. The house seems deserted.
Well, maybe they're out looking for the thing that they're supposed to be looking for.
The afikomen.
Yes, the afikomen. We must find it, Julia. We must.
Well, let's have a look around. Maybe we can at least find a clue as to what's happened. Barnabas, do you smell something?
Like what?
Like soup cooking on the stove.
Yes, soup. Good, Julia. Julia, what if it's chicken soup with...
Canela.
No, worse. Matzo balls.
Why, Vay, come on, there's no time to lose. If someone's making matzo balls, they could be using our afikomen in the recipe.
And then we shall be lost forever. We will have been unable to change the course of history, and the Seder we left in 1970 will never end.
Look at this, Barnabas. It's a newspaper. The forward. Barnabas, look at the date. April 2nd.
What's so unusual about that?
April 2nd, 1840.
Nish Dageracht.
Don't you see, Barnabas? We ate from the enchanted bowl of tzimmis, and now we're back in Collinwood, 1840. This must be a sign. The afikomen has got to be back in this time. We must find it, Barnabas. We must.
Let's begin with the kitchen. Follow me. They walk down the passageway to the entrance of the kitchen. There, Mrs. Johnson, head cook, is preparing something on the stove. Barnabas and Julia peer inside.
Look, it's Mrs. Johnson. I always wondered how old she was. Barnabas, she's making something on the stove. I can't see what it is. It certainly smells good, though. Oh, my God. Barnabas, on the table. She is making what we thought she'd be making.
Canela. Hey, this is Big Bubba with a message for all you bubbas out there. Granny, you want the best for your kinda, and good old Piggly Wiggly has the answer. Yes to all 4 questions. Where can I get a good price on matzah? Who has a full line of Monoshevitz products? Where can I get a shank bone? And what's this on my butt? The answer to all these questions is Piggly Wiggly. Well, not the last one. I was sitting on some gum. So remember, for all your Passover needs, there's only one place to go and one name to know. Piggly Wiggly. We now return to our show. The The sound of footsteps creeping along a hallway is heard. Barnabas and Julia are walking slowly toward Mrs. Johnson in the kitchen.
Mrs. Johnson, hello. Ooh, I didn't hear you come in. Well, it's Rachel Hoffman and Barnabas. Well, how nice to see you. Did you have a good ride in from Scarsdale? How lovely to have you here for the Seder. Do sit down. Have some coffee on the stove.
Maybe later, Mrs. Johnson. Thank you. Mrs. Johnson, what are you making there?
Oh, you know, it's your favorite. Chicken soup with knedla. Mrs. Johnson, how do you happen to know that word? Knedla, simple. You work for Jews long enough, you pick things up. What else is new?
Well, Rachel and I were wondering where you got the matzah to make the knedlach. We wondered if you might have seen an extra piece of matzah lying around, one piece covered in a cloth. He gets a worried and mysterious look on his face, something not often achieved on radio.
I get the matzah from your old Piggly Wiggly right in Collinsport. Just a box of Strites matzah meal. As for finding matzah wrapped in cloth, you must mean the afikomen. Oh, I did see something.
Tell us what you saw. You what?
What? Well, I was in this room cooking, just pottering about, doing this and that, when I thought I heard some music. At first I didn't pay it any mind. After all, someone could have been playing the Victrola in the other room, but it seemed to get louder and louder.
Go on, please.
Oh, no.
You must.
Just as I was facing the window, I thought I saw something. It seemed to be a person wearing a red robe of some kind. I couldn't make it out. When I opened the back door to see who it was, she was gone. You said she, Mrs. Johnson? How do you know it was a woman? The feather. Remember now, the woman had a feather in her hair, but when I went after her, she disappeared. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Now, you just have a glass of tea and steady yourself. It's going to be all right. Come on, Barnabas, we've got work to do.
We hear the two leave the kitchen. They walk back to the foyer and then open the great double doors of the drawing room. She was pretty shaken, Julia, but it might be a clue that will lead us to, whatever it is we're supposed to...
The afikomen.
Yes, the afikomen. Julia, who was, or rather, who is Rachel Hoffman?
You, of all people, must remember her, Barnabas. When you were changed into a vampire back in 1795 by that crazy daughter of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Angelique Sachs. One of the first people you bit was an ancestor of mine, Yiddel Hoffman, my great-great-grandmother. Then in 1804, you bit Shlomo Hoffman, my distant cousin, twice removed on my father's side. And then in this year, 1840, you bit Rachel Hoffman, my great-grand-aunt on my mother's side.
That's quite a tale of Hoffman.
Don't you see? Don't you see, Barnabas? Mrs. Johnson recognized you because you existed in this time. You were a vampire then, don't you see? We can change the course of history. You won't bite Rachel Hoffman because you are no longer a vampire.
Unless...
Unless what?
Unless she's already been bitten. Friends, coming up May 21st at 9 p.m., tickets to see the Klezmatics live at Hog Caller Stadium. I'll take caller number 10 at 246-5762. Call now and Mazel Tov. We return you to our program. Come on, Julia. We've got to find that afikomen. But where to look? A look comes over his face. Hey, this is some actor giving looks over the radio. Julia, when I was alive in this sanctuary, I seem to recall my brother Quentin used to have a laboratory in the basement of this house. He was always potchking down there. I seem to recall he was experimenting with making matzah rise.
Barnabas, that's called bread.
No, I mean making a piece of matzah rise into the air right off the table. We should look downstairs.
Are you sure?
We must. The two leave the drawing room and go down a long flight of stairs. The sound of a door creaking is heard. I was right. Quentin did have a lab down here. Just look at all this. They are staring at a large basement room about 30 by 40 feet wide. The room is musty and damp. Its walls are gray granite, unfinished and rough. The ceiling is painted a light shade of green, with a small gaslight candelabra hanging from it. There are 2 large brown work tables, each covered with all sorts of experiment equipment, test tubes, glass jars, and the like. Julia surveys the room. Suddenly, she sees something and...
It's a coffin. The coffin of Rachel Hoffman. Oh, Barnabas, we're too late.
There, Julia, I'm so terribly sorry. I had forgotten all about that person. I forgot my line.
Rachel Hoffman.
Yes, she, Rachel. Glancing at the coffin, we hear it opening. Julia, quick, get that pork chop off the table and hand it to me.
But this is a kosher home. What's a pork chop doing here?
Never mind, just get it.
My God, the coffin is opening. Here's the pork chop.
Barnabas grabs the unkosher chop from Julia, and just as the coffin opens, we hear...
What's happened?
It was your great-great-aunt on your mother's side, Rachel. She was the worst kind of vampire. She didn't keep kosher. Only by hitting her with the very thing that made her unkosher in the first place can we give her any rest. Now she's a pile of ashes. She's found peace. Barnabas holds Julia for a moment, gaining their composure. They start once again to examine the room. Julia, look over here.
It looks like a stairway. What can it mean?
I don't know. Suddenly the sound of music is heard. Well, not the sound of music, but just music off in the distance. There's someone at the top of those stairs. Whoever you are, come down and show yourself.
Well, hello, Barnabas. Well, hello, Julia. It's so nice to see you here in Collinsport. You're looking swell, Julia. Lose some weight. Barnabas, you're still growing, you're still going strong. Okay, enough music. Well, here I am. It's Carol Channing, here to save the day. Yes, I am, so to speak, as you might say. My goodness, you two have been on a long journey, and now it's ended. Yes, Jerry Herman sent me here with this, the Afikoman. Now, here you go, Julia. Now, you two can go back to your own time and finish the Seder. Gotta go now. Love you both. Bye.
Never mind, Barnabas. Never mind how she got here. I'm just glad we've got the Afikoman, and now we can finish the Seder.
Look, a bowl of tzimmis. Quick! They each take some and eat it. They are instantly transported back to 1970 and the Seder which they left. Cousin Barnabas, Julia, we wondered where you had gone off to. But I see you were about to hide the Afikoman for the children. How sweet. Well, do finish hiding it and come sit down. My wife Elizabeth has made a great dinner. Julia and Barnabas casually toss the Afikoman on a table in the hall. If the gang only knew what they went through. They sit down at the Seder table with the rest of the Collins mishpacha. Just then, Elizabeth Collins comes to the table with a big silver bowl in her hands.
Tzimmis, anyone?